Okay, welcome to our final Best of 2024 video of the month, and the last Best of 2024 video we'll ever do, but the last Best of video we'll do until next year. We so far have done our best single issues of 2024, our best series of 2024. Last week we did our best writers of 2024, and this week we are going to be counting down our top 10 best comic book artists of 2024. And I had said going into the writers and artists that I thought the writers was going to be the most difficult one to do. And I stand by the fact that that had an extra layer of difficulty because we are writers and like it felt more personal in a weird way. But because of like the amount of people, and it was much more condensed with writers who can do multiple books, I found making cuts for this list to be the hardest one so far.
Same. Like you were saying, because writers do generally do more projects throughout the year, it was so much easier to be like, oh, well, I really like this, but I didn't like this as much, so they get points off. For this, it's just like, no, I love what this person did. I love what this person did. I love what this person did. And there's no, secondary level to change the playing field. So
and a lot of artists are typically, at least, especially within the same year, because I think artists might, change, their art style and stuff over time. Artists are much more consistent, I feel like.
That's super fair,
If you like their art, at least, again, in a given year, because some artists will change their art style over time, and you might not like the way that it changes. But, if you like their work in issue 1 of this year, you're probably also going to like their work in issue 12 of this year.
Right.
A writer, much more up and down. Like you said, you might like this series, not like that series. You might like this issue, not like that issue. Artists doesn't happen as much because it's a little bit more like, if this looks good, it looks good,
Yeah, and that also, to any artists listening, that may just be our writer brains. Maybe you feel the same way about writers and are more critical page-to-page issues.
I'm absolutely sure artists are much more, critiquing of specific issues. Yeah. I did actually, and we'll get to this, I was looking, because I wanted more criteria, I was looking a lot more, the sequentials of it all versus just, the front art, because I'm like, you know what? Every artist that's going to make my list is going to be, a phenomenal visual.
Right.
Their work's going to look great. So I was really looking into, how is their sequentials, compared to these other people? How good are they at visually telling the story? But in any case, we've blabbered, I think, enough on the front end. I believe you start us off now, because I
believe so.
And just a quick bit of housekeeping. Katie will be posting hers on the right side. I'll be posting on the left side, and we'll be snaking it. So she'll do 10, then I'll do 10 and 9, then she'll do 9 and 8, and so on. But that's that. Katie.
That's that. I think this one came out of nowhere for me a little bit.
Really?
When I was thinking about the artists who I really remember and grabbed onto this year, there was one who came to mind who, very shockingly to me, nothing else from this series has been on our list. I guess that's not shocking, but it's exciting to me that it is making it on there.
I think I know what this is now.
I bet you do. Because the art was really amazing. We went on and on about the visual storytelling in it. It's Ciao Felipe of Lotus Land.
Oh, actually, that's not what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I absolutely loved all of the world building that happened in Lotus Land.
Did that reverse of the way we usually do it.
Yeah. I loved the way that the environment was brought to life by Ciao Felipe's art. I think that the expressiveness was really great. I thought the character designs were phenomenal. And I think that this book really benefited from Ciao Felipe's art, and that is a big part.
It was gorgeous. I didn't even think of it, honestly, because of that. And honestly, how did all of it come out this year, or was it some?
No, I think issues either 3, 4, and 5, or 2, 3, 4, and 5, something like that.
So still a decent chunk of issues.
Exactly.
Yeah. I honestly, I don't know. It feels so beginning of the pod to me that I think in my head it was firmly in 2023. Ciao Felipe's artwork in Lotus Land is out of this world.
So great.
That's a solid pull that I did not think about at all.
There we go. All right, but who is your number 10?
My number 10 is going to be... I was going to say something else that wasn't on the list at all, but I do believe it had a single issue on the single issues list. It's going to be Christian Wildgoose of The Hunger and the Dusk. Let
Hell
me
yeah.
quickly adjust things and then grab the picture here as I go to talk about this book. But Christian Wildgoose utterly kills it with the fantasy setting. All of the character designs. We talk about the character designs of Christian Wildgoose a lot because they're really, really strong. They give a lot of characterization immediately, and then like you get these action sequences that are just
So
utterly
gorgeous.
phenomenal. I think when we first read issue 1 of Hunger in the Dusk, which did not come out this year, but it applies to issues 5 and 6 and the issues of book 2 that have come out so far. Like we just talked about like the uniqueness of the action sequences. It's very like weirdly it's like the opposite of what I sometimes criticize like action books for, which is that it's almost only moments of impact.
Right? Like it's incredibly like I feel like the word that I come to with Christian Wildgoose and specifically the action scenes, it's very cinematic. Like it feels like those big moments when
it's
like
moment
you
after
can
moment
feel the action happening.
Which is just so important. Again, and like the sequentials of it all, like of those action sequences, like it's so strong. And then like the other thing is like, especially I put up issue 5 here because the amount that was conveyed through the body language of the characters doing their fight. I'm gonna get it's Cal, right? And then,
Cal and Tara.
Cal and Tara, like the body, just their body language in this issue as they went from like so on the same page to like in their big fight was so important to the emotionality of this issue.
Oh yeah.
And like that carries again through the rest of the series, but I'm pointing out where it was really a big thing. But yeah, I think Christian Wildgoose was absolutely a top 10 artist for me.
So earned a spot here, absolutely. But speaking of earning a spot, who is your number 9?
My number 9 is going to be somebody who I'm sure we will see again. Probably not at number 9 from Katie. My number 9 is Sean Gordon Murphy of Zorro, Man of the Dead. This series was phenomenal, and a lot of that was down to the artwork, the action sequences, which were beautiful, and like just striking visuals. Like that's honestly the thing that I remember of this series is like these beautiful moments of like Zorro all of a sudden popping up and doing something, doing his Z sword slash, and that like thing that's like a small thing that takes so many movements is something that you think would be really hard to translate into comics, but Sean Gordon Murphy does it so beautifully. But yeah, it's striking visuals is my like number 1 thing from
Zorro, so phenomenal. Don't worry, we'll talk about it later. And something that I'm sure will be on your list, just not at number 9, I'm putting in Lorenzo De Felici of Void Rivals. This is a book that came out almost every month this year, and
I think 9 issues this year.
Yeah. And it was phenomenal art-wise every single month for me. This is also the year that had Salila. Yeah.
That is correct.
Her like drop through and her journey through, the void, but all of this darkness was so great. The team on this book is so phenomenal, and so much of that is carried by Lorenzo De Felici, being able to do so much awesome stuff with the action, with the world, with the characters, and it's really just a great book all around.
Absolutely. But do you want to do you have anything else, or do you want to take us to your number 8?
Let's jump to number 8, where we've got Chris Wildgoose, Hunger in the Dusk. Everything we said before, I chose the same cover.
It's the correct option.
Yeah,
it's the best issue that came out this year.
It's so good. And one of the big things for me is the way that the characters are designed. We've talked about before how this is a really interesting kind of fantasy take where they've kind of swapped the roles of orcs and humans.
So clever.
And so much of that is through the designs and through the way these characters are portrayed. And we didn't touch on, in our number 10 slot, the way that the Vangal look is so cool. Yeah. The way that they move is so unsettling. Chris Wildgoose absolutely killed it. Absolutely love it. On principle, I only said The Hunger of the Dusk, not books 1 and 2. It should have just been a continuation.
I agree with you, but that's not how the world works, unfortunately.
Well, I will get off my high horse and allow you to do your number 8, so I don't.
Okay. My number 8. somebody who I'm interested to see if they end up on your list. My number 8 is Daniel Warren Johnson of Transformers, and to a lesser extent, The Moon is Following Us. He had the one issue of The Moon is Following Us, where he was with his primary
he does
artist.
the art in most of them. He's done art in.
Yes, he's done. Done art in most of them. Yes, but he is only the main artist in the one issue that's basically all in the modern world. But the first volume of Transformers this year was all Daniel Warren Johnson, and it was all gorgeous.
Yeah.
He's one of the best sequential artists like in comics. The way that he carries action and the very pro wrestling inspired action that obviously touches me. Seeing these giant robots body slamming and German suplexing each other around is awesome. There's also the emotion of like the way that he draws the human characters in Transformers. You talked about how great the Optimus Prime hospital thing is. A lot of that comes down to the human emotion in it, and then that is what transfers to The Moon is Following Us, because he's basically all the emotional scenes in that and not the action scenes, and it works so incredibly well. He's got a very unique style that I think really is really fantastic.
Yeah, and it is such a feat to do like the Transformers, because I feel like it's a pretty known thing, like doing big technology stuff while preserving detail, while also making them like fluid and not completely static is so important, especially for a Transformers book. Leave me alone.
I didn't say anything.
And yeah, Daniel Warren Johnson absolutely knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
But do you have a number 7 for us?
I do. From one robot artist to another, we are jumping to at number 7, Pye Parr of Petrolhead. And actually what I grabbed the image from, because I think it just shows off how good his art is a little bit better. The Creep Show holiday special.
Good.
Pye Parr is phenomenal. The way that he draws, like, we talk about how difficult it is to draw chase sequences and specifically car chase sequences in comics. So, like, you immediately get so many bonus points when you do that incredibly well.
Right.
It's one of the hardest things to do in comic books. So I think that just is a testament to Pye Parr's skill set. And then you come to this Creep Show holiday special, and the way that he is able to unsettle you even before you get to the truly unsettling part of this story. And then, spoilers, I think we can finally talk about the ending of this story, when the puppets' brains are being bashed in. It is horrifying, but awesome.
Gruesome.
Gruesome. So Pye Parr absolutely locked up the number 7 slot on my list. One of the people who actually did do 2 like fully separate things this year, which is another huge boon for him.
Oh yeah. Well, my number 7, only one thing this year, at least one thing that I read, and that's Jeff Lemire with Minor Arcana.
There you go.
We have talked about how the art of Minor Arcana really carries the book into like because Jeff Lemire, writer artist, obviously, the amount of tone and emotion he puts forth through his art is so important. Like, it wasn't from last year, but we talked about it at length with the most recent, I think on the most recent episode of the podcast, with the most recent issue of Minor Arcana. But his characters always feel like they have the weight of the world on them, and that works with Minor Arcana so well. The way that he does, like, this may be a weird compliment to give, but the way that he does liminal spaces is really great. Like, a character can literally be in the void, and it works when Jeff Lemire is doing the art with those gorgeous watercolors, and just the really haggard, thin line work is gorgeous. I love Jeff Lemire's art.
Jeff Lemire is fantastic. So, and another very unique style.
Which always gets points with me. Yeah. I love when things are just.
But do you want to keep this to number 6 here?
I do, to whatever the opposite of unique and ugly is. To just one of the best to do it is Jason Fabok with Rook Exodus. I don't think this man was capable of drawing things that are a little bit ugly.
No.
Like, every time they unmasked Rook, it's like, okay, King, whatever. Rook Exodus is gorgeous. It's a gorgeous book. It's a tour de force for both of these creators. And, oh my god, Jason Fabok is just a legend. Like the way that he designed those masks is so huge.
Yeah.
I'm
shocked you didn't go with one of the mask covers. I thought that's what you would have faced.
But this one's so pretty.
Oh, it is. It's fantastic.
Like I bought all of the mask covers. Like those are the variants that I grabbed off the shelf. But yeah, the masks are, and I'm going to go off about those because they're such an important part of like establishing this book in kind of like popular culture in a way. Like there's never before been a book that we've read. That's not quite true, because I felt this way about Petrolhead too, where I was like, I want an action figure of this. I need a Petrolhead action figure. I need a physical manifestation of this book because the way that it looks is so cool.
Something.
Exactly. And I think that's going to be one of the things that like really defines this book as it keeps going on. And I mean, I think we talked before about how this book feels like it has the legs to go beyond, just being a series that kind of comes and goes. I think this is something that's going to last in popular culture, and I think a big reason for that is going to be Jason Fabok's character designs and art.
I agree. I think the designs are going to carry this thing so freaking far. I think that there will be a day where this is, whether it's to animated, live, whatever, where this is adapted, and then you see those masks, those busts everywhere. You go to a comic book store, you go into a geek store. I have a feeling one day we're going to be seeing those masks everywhere.
And I'm going to buy them all.
Yeah, honestly, I will have a table somewhere in my house covered with those things.
But that's my number 6.
That's
Jay,
your number 6.
Who's your number 6?
I'm going to go the opposite of you. Instead of going with a good traditional, beautiful artist, I'm going to go with a little bit of a crusty, unique style here. But still, a gorgeous artist. We, at number 6, have Jacques of the Body Trade. One of my absolute favorite artists in comics. Only had 3 issues come out this year, which is the fewest, I think, of any artist on my list. But the 3 issues of the Body Trade looked fantastic. Jacques' artwork is so unique. He is maybe the best right now at just packing pages full of panels and not having them feel, overwhelming or like you can't follow them closely. He will pack a page with content. You will follow it completely. He will give you emotion that, can't be conveyed through dialogue or other things. He will give you these little moments that add so much to the characters. Jacques' art style is just like, I guess the best way to put it is like all-consuming. It's like he thinks of everything. Like everything on the page. Because he packs these pages full of panels, full of backgrounds, full of items, and everything on the page feels like it matters.
Yeah, so it all contributes to like the life of the world that the team is building, and it's really, really phenomenal. In the Body Trade, I feel like so much of the book is driven by the emotion of Sandy? No.
Sam.
Is it Sandy?
Sam. It's something like that. It's not something Sandy. Like that. It's Sam feels wrong though. It's
definitely like a traditional,
I feel like a 3-letter thing though.
In any case, it's driven by the main character's emotion, and he's a character who does feel very strong emotions, and so much of that is conveyed through the way that Jacques draws him. Really, really, really phenomenal book. In no small part because of Jacques' art.
No, in a very large part due to Jacques' artwork.
Absolutely. But we're here in the top 5 now.
We've reached the top 5, and we're going to be talking about one of my favorite artists ever.
Coming in, I know who this 5. Is.
I don't know if you do. Maybe you do. Coming in as the number Gavin 5 slot on my list is Mateus Santolouco of TMNT, Mutant Nation, and the Untold Destiny of the Foot Clan. Mateus Santolouco is one of the great Ninja Turtle artists of the modern era, and to see him come back to Turtles within the last I want to say really the last 2 years. I don't know that he's done much before that outside of when he was actually on the Turtles. To do Untold Destiny of the Foot Clan and Mutant Nation was just awesome. He's like simplified his style over time to where like his character designs now are really, really basic, but that allows them to be really emotive, which is phenomenal. He's able to distill everything now down to like the most basic things that it absolutely needs, which is just so great. and he is just a master of action, which you need for a Turtles artist.
Oh yeah,
he draws these awesome action sequences.
He's the one doing the backups.
He does the backup. Yes. Okay, he does the Casey Jones.
Such great art. The way that he was characterizing Karai's
he is the Karai artist as far as I'm concerned. There's no other Karai artist at this point. Shout out to Ben Bishop for the amazing original Last Road and flashback sequence, Death of Karai. That was phenomenal. But Mateus Santolouco is the Karai artist, the Foot Clan artist at this point, and he's just a master.
Love that. Yeah, really, really amazing work. And he's going to be paired with a double up on the list here. This is where Pye Parr is slotted for me. Okay. I absolutely love everything that Pye did this year. I pulled a cover that had the design for Petrolhead because, my goodness, the art in this book is truly something else.
That little arm.
That little arm. We love the little arm so that he can do his mechanic things. But yeah, the car chases, the robot designs, because we get designs obviously for Petrolhead, but also for Hybrid, for Supercar Star, for the Chief, for all of the cars themselves that the robots are driving. There's so much in this book that is just, it's there because Pye made it so, and it's phenomenal. I can't say enough nice things about Pye Parr, so I will instead move on to someone else who I can definitely contain myself when talking about.
I don't believe you for 1 second.
What do you mean?
I have a guess for who's here. I don't know why. But I feel like
do you want to guess? Do you want to guess?
Oh, no, because I'm going to be embarrassed immediately.
I was wrong. Go on, guess.
Is it Marco Checchetto?
It's not Marco Checchetto. It's Sean Murphy, baby.
Oh no! I thought he was going to be at the very, very top. Damn.
I can be very normal about Sean Gordon Murphy. I can be trusted to be normal about this man. Dude, Zora Man of the Dead, absolutely grabbed me by the throat this year and threw me across the room. I fucking love this book so much. I was looking forward to it every single week, even when it wasn't coming out. The absolute masterclass in just emotive drawing that Sean Gordon Murphy brings forth. He's so beautiful. All of his characters are so expressive, and while I feel like a lot of times expressiveness comes through in comic art as kind of almost over the top, almost like stage acting expressiveness, I feel like Sean Gordon Murphy is really good at really kind of contained, more kind of screen acted expressiveness, where it's a lot more delicate. I think he's not going to have a panel where someone's jumping backwards to show that they're surprised. It's going to be a raised eyebrow or a really well placed expression. I feel like he's real surgical with his art, and I love that so much. You touched on all the amazing action. I specifically grabbed the cover for number 1 because also I think it's a thing, right? Isn't it a thing that it's really hard to draw horses?
I think so, yeah.
And he's got horses in, I believe, all 4 of these issues, possibly 3 out of 4. And it's they always look gorgeous, and the movement on them. This is the book that started my descent into madness for appreciation of westerns, because I count it as a western.
It's basically in that vibe.
Yeah. It did so much for me, and it's because Sean Gordon Murphy is such a phenomenal artist, and writer. But I cheated him out of a writer spot because I'm I know he's gonna be on the artist one, so I don't have to worry about that. But yeah, who's your number 4?
My number 4 is gonna be another double up here for both of us having them on the list. This is where I put Lorenzo de Felici of Void Rivals. He also did some of the Energon Universe special that came out this year because there was a Void Rivals story. In that, I chose the Proximus cover because that Proximus character design is so good. Proximus, I think, is genuinely one of the best modern attempts to capture Darth Vader energy that has been done, because it's different, but man, does it have the same vibe. When that man pops up, do you go oh shit, that man's gonna kill somebody?
We need a whole ass transformer to take this man on.
Yeah, exactly. Lorenzo de Felici, again, we've talked about character designs with a lot of the artists. Phenomenal. just every character design in this book is so good. From the different, sex of this, I can't remember the name of their two species that are actually the same species. But yeah, like from that to like their suits to Handroid to their weapons, like all these things look phenomenal. But really, and you touched on it a little bit when Celina was like falling down in the center of the like, it's really what he does with like empty space and negative space. Like he can really draw your eye where it needs to go in a page. And he also does these beautiful landscape shots when we need like a big planet or something like that. He has such a good sense of scale, which for a sci-fi book is so incredibly important.
Especially when it has like Transformers in it.
Exactly. And he has, outside of when he's drawing the Transformers, because the Transformers are kind of, they already exist and you're supposed to like, they look a certain way and he has to, hold to that. He's a very simplistic sci-fi style. Like he doesn't draw things with like a bunch of moving parts or anything. It's very much like, oh, here's this glove with like a few rivets on it. Like that's how he kind of does it. Everything has a few lines that give it that sci-fi flair, but it's very simplistic, which really I think gives Void Rivals a unique aesthetic against a lot of other sci-fi books. So yeah,
fully
love
agree.
Lorenzo de Felici.
Lorenzo de Felici is so good, so good. Are you ready to give us your first honorable mention?
Oh yeah, we do honorable mentions now.
You sure do.
I was getting ready.
Say that now. We've done it for every single. Oh, now in the slideshow.
Yeah, now in the list. I was getting ready to put my next one up. So my first one is very much just they did not do enough to make it on the top 10 list, but they did work this year, and they are arguably one of the greatest artists of all time. So, getting an honorable mention is going to be Kevin Eastman for Drawing Blood. He only does a few pages in issue of Drawing Blood. He did a few pages in Last Ronin 2 issue 3, I believe, is the one that he did a few pages in this year. So he's done a few pages in a few different books. It didn't add up to enough where I felt comfortable putting him on the top 10, but we talk about in every issue of Drawing Blood when you get to that 1 or 2 pages he does in the book, and you're like, how did he just do so much in that one page? How did he develop the backstory so much here? How did he get so much of what needed to happen here? He just is a master of the craft.
He's so
in every level.
Yeah. And that's really, really gorgeous. Love that. Well, joining him up on here is Patrick Piazzalunga of Monsters Are My Business and My Business is Bloody. I think this was such a runaway hit with us. And so much of that was because of Patrick's art. It was so, it was emotive in that way that I was talking about, where it's like very kind of cartoonish. The way that he did action was so great. The comedic timing of the art was such a huge part of this book because it was such a funny book.
With a flamethrower suit and
exactly, I think this was a really, really great showing from Patrick, and I'm super excited to see more of what he does.
Yeah, I think he just announced that he has a new book coming out through one of the major publishers. I can't remember, but I feel like I recently saw him announce that he has something coming up. In any case, my next honorable mention, somebody else who didn't do a ton this year, but they did enough, but they just slightly made it outside of my top 10. It's going to be Ben Stenbeck for Our Bones Dust. Love this series. So much of that is the art, very simplistic, Mike Mignola-esque art style with this nice sci-fi element coming. That's why I chose this cover, because it shows like the two sides that he's illustrating.
He's very got my boy, Addis!
Yeah. And then like the notable one thing is like he is a master of sequentials. Like the way that he's able to carry the story even with no words a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Or very minimal words is just so impressive. So just barely looking outside the top 10, but Ben Stenbeck is incredible.
Really, really gorgeous work from Mr. Stenbeck, absolutely. My honorable mention number 2 is going to be Junie Ba. We read The Boy Wonder, and I think a lot of the qualms I had with The Boy Wonder were on the writing side. The art of it is so... We've said it once, we've said it 1,000 times. It's super unique. And I found myself delighted by it a lot, which is, I feel, the best way to describe the emotion. It's like, oh my gosh, look at how fun this is. Like, it really is a book that creates an identity for itself. And the way that I think this might be some of my favorite Rachel Gould art. like
Oh
because
yeah,
of the way that it lends itself to that
it
mythic
lends itself to League so
energy.
well. I really,
Yeah.
I hope at some point Juniba will just do like a League of Assassins focused thing, because I
Mhm.
feel like that would be so good.
It'd be so fun. I absolutely loved the art on this book. So
Yeah,
got my honorable mention spot number 2.
it was real good. That's a solid pull there as well. My final honorable mention is going to go to Riley Rossmo of The Moon is Following Us. This was my first exposure to Riley Rossmo's work, but it is
Not true.
fun.
Actually, we read that I think it was a Halloween special that had the Etrigan and Hal Jordan story.
You are correct. You are correct. I forgot about that. I
Yeah,
can't believe I completely forgot
because it
about that.
was so good.
It was so
The art
good
was really really fun in
with
that.
characters that I utterly love too. I
Yeah,
forgot that that was Riley. So
yeah,
not true. Was a little predisposed to like Riley's work, but I forgot about it. So, but yeah, no, Riley Rossmo immediately stood out as just such a talented artist. What they were able to do with like a child's imagination conceptually is really really cool. I mean, just look
so
at this
fun.
cover. Look how cool that cover is with like everything melting upward.
Right.
Saw the cover of this book and went, yeah, that's happening on the pod. Like that, I think is a testament to how good Riley Rossmo is. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of this book is just action sequences, so obviously Riley Rossmo can nail those action sequences. Very unique, interesting character designs, and expressive characters. So yeah, top to bottom, Riley Rossmo, very very good.
Really, really phenomenal stuff. My final honorable mention. He was gonna make it on here somewhere. It's Shaman Gorman of The Pedestrian.
Ah, yeah,
The so much of this book is reliant on how you feel about like the kind of everyday folk, and I think that Sean did a great job with that. Everyone was very emotive and expressive, but more importantly to me, the way that his mind worked creatively to do all of these ridiculous visuals. That's why I picked the issue 2 cover, because you get a sense
yeah.
of
You
that
get
like
the flipping
supernatural crosswalk, the giant traffic lights in the sky, the
cosmic
way that
traffic
he
light.
would right, the way that he would use the street signs in that final combat to like repel things was so fun, and it was really just a delight to read The Pedestrian and look at it. The way that he illustrates the pedestrian's movement is so like emblematic of the book. It's really an iconic part of the character, that like
Yeah.
speed walking posture.
Oh
It
yeah.
really sells the tone of the book in just a few panels.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Sean Ron Gorman made it into my
Yeah.
honorable
And I
mentions
believe
there.
I went last, so I now
Yes, you
will
are
take
now
this.
doing number threes.
My number 3. Once again, we're gonna be doubling up on somebody here who's already appeared on your list. It's Jason Fabok
That
of Rook
tracks. That
Exodus,
tracks.
and obviously the Rook Exodus story in the Ghost Machine special as well.
Mhm.
Funnily enough, I did what I thought you were gonna do. I grabbed one of these close up covers because it feels important to show just how good
I love. Not only did he
those
grab the
look.
cover, he's also making it bigger.
Yeah, look at that. Look at it. Look into his
It's so
eyes.
gorgeous. I
Look
will
into his
happily look at
eyes.
it literally all day. Look at his beak, dude.
Yeah.
It's
No,
so
but funnily
cool.
that I was trying to do my little transition there because I said, and I have to bring it back up because it's a very funny thing, but I think it's utterly true. I said I don't know that anybody draws better eyes in comics than Jason
That's
Fabok,
so fair.
and it's such a
Yeah.
weird like number one compliment to have of an artist. But it's honestly like a lot of eyes, like dead eyes are very like common art critique, and like I
Mhm.
think when you get to very popular comic book artists, that doesn't exist anymore. But
Right.
there's still like simple eyes, like the eyes aren't carrying a lot of the
Mhm.
emotional weight. Jason Fabok carries so much of his emotions with
It's
his eyes,
insane. It's truly
and to do
insane.
that in a comic and like a monthly comic, I mean, I think the things that Jason Fabok does are the reason that Rook Exodus can't come out without hiatuses monthly.
Hmm.
So we get hiatuses, but the fact that he puts that much detail into everything when it's
Absolutely.
in theory unnecessary, but in actuality it makes the book so much stronger and better. Is just so good. I'm not going to harp on the character designs and masks because we talked about it when you brought up Jason Fabok,
Mhm.
but it's such a big part of it. And he just has this ability to both like push in really tight and give you these like emotive things, or pull out and just give you these bombastic. I called it a Batmobile sequence when it was the car. That
Yes.
like just those big bombastic sequences that are larger than life in every way.
Mhm.
So he's really top to bottom. You get Jason Fabok to do anything in a comic book, and it's going to look good. He's a master of, instead of jack of all trades, he's a master of all trades.
Yeah,
which
he's
is
insane.
a wild
Which is just insane. An absolute mad lad. Joining him on the number 3 spot on my side is going to be, we knew they were going to be here, Hayden Sherman of Absolute Wonder Woman and Batman Dark Patterns. I have been simping over Hayden Sherman's art for so long, from Chicken Devil to Above Snakes, and now Absolute Wonder Woman and Batman Dark Patterns. Oh my god, it's so cool. It's so great. I love so much what they're doing with Wonder Woman specifically. Batman Dark Patterns super cool. The injury man, the wounded man. I hate the word wound so much. The wounded man, incredibly creepy. Very well done. The way that they do shadowy Batman, so great. But the way they do broad daylight Wonder Woman is so cool. The magic of it is so great. And I feel like my favorite part is the way that they do their layouts. They do really unique layouts. Like, you're not often going to have a page that's just, box, 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 box. They're always doing something weird on the page that makes their style feel super distinct and super awesome. And I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
That's going to take us to number 2.
Yeah, take us to your number 2.
To kind of, again, ping pong between incredibly unique and incredibly well done traditional. This is where Marco Checchetto comes in.
Okay. Yeah, I knew it was coming.
It had to be coming. I freaking love Marco Cecchetto's art. Every single time we talk about a book, I'm doing what you did, and I'm making the art bigger. Every time we've done a book that Marco Checchetto has done the art on, I can't stop talking about it. 1, amazing action. 2, phenomenal character designs. Like, in the Ultimate Universe, you have this opportunity to, create your version of this character. And I think that Marco Checchetto and Jonathan Hickman are doing such a great job with making characters feel both of this Ultimate Universe, but also true to their, core. So, if you look at the Green Goblin, you're like, yeah, that's the Green Goblin. But he does have kind of a more heroic atmosphere around him. I feel like so much of that is the way that Checchetto has him hold himself, the way that he kind of characterizes the characters on the page. And, oh my god, does he do... Yes, the black suit, gorgeous! And to round it out, I've said before, Spider-Man is one of my favorite characters for conveying emotion on because of his big-ass little bug eyes. They're so fun, and Marco Checchetto does that so super duper well. And it's such a good, fun time when he is on the page. Anyway, your number 2.
I think this is incredibly funny, because we're going to match up with the ones that we both guessed too early for each other. This is where Gavin Smith lands! As we land in my top 2, we're reaching artists that actually did 2 things that I utterly love this year, which is incredibly impressive for an artist. Right. Gavin Smith obviously was the artist on the phenomenal series Heart Piercer, but he also did TMNT Alpha, which I think I said before would have absolutely been on my best single issues of the year list if we had read it on the pod, but we didn't. TMNT Alpha was so phenomenal, and getting to see Gavin Smith and Tom Waltz work on the same book and the same story together is just my TMNT nerddom exploding. But yeah, Gavin Smith, honestly, is an incredibly versatile artist too, because he has his style that it's in regardless. But the way that he draws the turtles and the way he draws Heart Piercer is very unique to each thing, which is very, very nice. Heart Piercer is just phenomenal. Everything from the character designs, which are so incredibly strong, to all of the world building stuff, and then especially in Heart Piercer 4, you get this trippy afterlife type sequence, which is phenomenal. Gavin Smith just really, really knows how to give you the emotion, the atmosphere, the tone, everything you need.
And the costume change.
The costume change. That final costume is sick. Oh,
and I mean, sick the entire way through with the fucking unicorn's horn sword. So goddamn cool.
And you get other things in his layouts too, where he does really interesting things. Like when she's reviving on that page, it's really interesting. Cut between her popping up as I can't think of the name of the villain right now.
Oh shit, neither can I. That's okay. That's okay.
Whatever his name, as he's like wrecking shop, and it's just a great, phenomenal sequence. Yeah,
Howler.
I love Gavin Smith. Howler, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Phenomenal.
Gavin Smith, so good and so important. Such a cool series.
Yeah.
Hey, we say it every time. Give us more Heart Piercer, please.
Yeah,
Dark Horse, please.
Right now. Yeah. Oh, I went the wrong way.
He went the wrong way.
We're going to number 1, and you gotta go from one TMNT artist to another, because I mean, what else are you gonna do? My number 1 is Ben Bishop. Worked both on Drawing Blood, where he is the main artist. Fantastic to see him as the main artist on a series, and it's one of the things that really cared about me, because there were a bunch of Drawing Blood issues this year. But also on Last Ronin 2. And really what earned Ben Bishop the number 1 slot is the fact that I think he's the most versatile artist on this list. Like, if you look at his work in Last Ronin versus Drawing Blood, I don't know that I'd even like believe you that it was the same artist. Like, he draws so differently, and like there's the same, like there's always things that you can like match up, but it's so unique and so different to the tone of the different things. A Turtles book, it should be more fun, especially he's doing stuff with the child turtles in Last Ronin 2, so it tends to be more fun and more have a little more like bounce to it. It's very much like he had like a kaiju sequence in issue 3 of the Last Ronin 2, so it's fun. It's very like it's very, I don't want to say bright, because that sounds like I'm talking about the coloring, but I just mean like in like it's a little less crusty, I guess. You love the word crusty, so
I love the word crusty for.
And then you jump to Drawing Blood, and it's like, okay, no, like here's this depressed person who's like struggling constantly, and it's a little bit more real. It's a little bit more close and human, and that's like this really great juxtaposition. And then honestly, in Last Ronin 2, in the first issue, he did this sequence that I didn't think was him at first, because it was like this. He did this like flashback history of the Foot Clan and the Hamato clan, and it was done in like this like nice scroll painted looking Japanese style, and I was like, how do you do that too? How do you do all of these things, Ben? How are you this versatile? So yeah, just for the crazy versatility, working on 2 of my absolute favorite books this year, Ben Bishop is grabbing my best artist of 2024 slot.
I love that for you. I have gone in the exact opposite direction. Like, this man did one thing that I read, and goddamn did he do it just so well. This spot goes to Jorge Corona of Ain't No Grave.
Surprising no one.
Surprising no one. Who would have thought that there was a book that could unseat Zorro? But oh my god, the way that
another fucking Western ass book too.
Another fucking Western ass book. Look, I've been reading old Jonah Hexes now. It's all coming together. It's
all encompassing. She's being like just mind melded by.
I want to be a cowboy, baby. But Jorge Corona's art is so much of the personality of this book. The way that he frames the characters in these like massive clothes, the way that he does the action going on, it's very like kind of freeze framey, which I think is so fun. The way that he personifies the world around, like even though the characters in action scenes I feel very kind of like, here's a sick moment. I think that the world always kind of feels like it's moving, because in a way similar to what you were talking about with Jacques, Jorge Corona will, when it's appropriate, pack a page with like just stuff, detail.
Casino scene, man.
Right? But then he'll also use that space for nothingness when it's appropriate. Like in that entire opening sequence of Ain't No Grave, when Ryder is traveling across the desert, oh my god. Like, it was transcendent for me, which is maybe like dramatic, but it was so great. And as I was reading it, I was like, this is gorgeous, beautiful, amazing. I am so excited to be reading this. 10 out of 10, like, straight up. I can't say enough nice things. It's just the designs of the characters as well. Like, the way that Ryder looks, number one, she has all of these like iconic bits of her kit going on.
Makes her so big, like not
Right?
her, like she's not big, but her
Exactly.
ensemble's
Her
big.
fucking
It's a
coat
big
is,
presence.
dude. She's wearing a big
It's
ass
really not.
coat.
It's actually it's very like Todd McFarlane Spawny, like the way that he
Ooh,
does like a
yeah. I
cape.
hear
Like
that.
it's
Yeah.
very like yeah.
It's so fun. The way that he did a motion for her husband and daughter was so great. This book just literally cover to cover, week to or month to month, every single week. I was like, this is so phenomenal. Especially especially on the art side of things.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know if that was. I think the number ones there are fairly, maybe not the most surprising thing we've ever done in our
Yeah, perhaps not.
in our life. But I'll quickly scroll back through so people can take a look at everything. If you want to tell people where else they can find us coming up and
Yes.
everything.
So we have our regularly scheduled programming every single Wednesday, a new Script Heroes episode. That's going to have your weekly dive into comic book news. It's going to have our pull list reviews, where we go through all the books we read on our combined pull list rack. And it's going to have our creator corner, where we talk about being writers and how to do different story things. You can also find us on generally Saturdays, though keep an eye on our socials for scheduling that. We've been doing live streams of Marvel Rivals. We are on the grind to gold this season. We got to silver last season. I know it doesn't sound very impressive, but we're working hard, so please be nice
Bad
to us.
video games.
And of course, this is our last best of 2024 episode.
Yeah.
But next month we'll have. Yeah,
There's
this will be all of them. Yeah,
where you can find all 4 of the episodes. So if you missed any, check them out.
Please do. Yeah. And keep an eye out. In the coming month, we'll be back to our regularly scheduled bonus episodes. We've been going through Kyle Higgins' Massive Verse with, I almost just said Void Rivals, with Radiant Black and its accompanying stories and worlds. We've been keeping up with the Absolute Universe that DC's been putting out, giving full spoiler-filled recaps of every single issue they're putting out. As well as applying some Script Heroes flair with some fantasy football style matchups. And yeah, just all of our regular bonus content.
Yeah, our normal bonus episodes will finally be back starting from next week too, which will be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I believe next week will be the Strange Saturday Super Show, if I'm not mistaken, because we do that now usually on the first of the week because the Absolute becomes the second of the week usually. We'll have to check when the Absolute video is.
We'll figure it out.
But yeah, it'll either be probably the Absolute video or the Strange Saturday Super Show. So yeah, keep an eye out. We're finally back on that. But that's everything. Hopefully you enjoyed our top 10. Let us know who your favorite comic book artist of 2024 was, and tell us where we were wrong, what we placed wrong, who did not deserve to be on this list, who you are shocked we didn't put on this list, whose list you agree more with. All of that in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we hope to see you next week. Comic Geeks.